up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yes.
Good old humor.
Yes.
It's the end of the week podcast. How was your week
But
been, man?
it's a pretty special episode, right? Because this time although we're doing this remotely, like a lot of our podcasts, but you are very, very remote,
More remote
very
than
far from
usual,
Singapore.
More remote than usual.
Yeah. How so?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hours and hours away in the island of Penang. So I mean, still same time zone, lah. I realized also before today's podcast, with today's podcast, we've recorded the podcast when I was in Spain, France, and now Penang.
Yeah, that's right. And but actually, why are you in Penang but still recording the podcast? I think that's the question on people's minds.
Because I mean, it's also something that my wife and I are, just thinking. She's also working in Penang, so we thought, okay, let's just take a short trip. Just carry on with work stuff while we're there, whatever can be done remote, and then just spend the weekend in Penang. And Penang's pretty awesome, man. Yeah.
Are you having a hard time like disconnecting from work, even though you're literally on a holiday right now? Is that the issue?
I can sense some undertones, Terrence.
No, I just putting out there. I just want people to understand, like that we are not here advocating that people, blur the lines between your work and your work life.
This was a very conscious thing when we planned the trip.
Okay.
Because it was a very conscious thing. It wasn't say like we planned the trip and then slowly I was like, hey, we do a bit of work. No. We made it a point. We travel and then we just experiment lah. So it was part of the plan, because I also have come to realize the value of disconnecting when you're on a trip lah.
No, yeah, because I think it's important to point out, because I don't want people to think that we got some toxic workplace culture where when people are on holiday, we insist that they still have to bring all their work equipment and continue doing work and doing the podcast and all that lah.
Yeah, exactly. No. Very conscious thing. Because there have been times when I've been traveling or occupied and we didn't record. Or like last year when I was getting married. Right? So yeah.
No, because that I think the difference is that you are trying to do it's a dream for a lot of people to work remotely, for a period of time. Not saying that we never want to go back in the office or anything, but the idea is that if your work can be done remotely and you can be efficient doing it, why not just give it a shot, right?
Yeah, exactly. Even though when I messaged Terrence yesterday saying, hey, I'm traveling, but I'll record podcast. What was your message, Terrence? What was your message? What was your reply?
I said, okay, Gary V. And then your response was a heart. But the thing is, I think to be exact, I wasn't responding to you saying record podcast. Because I think recording a podcast remotely actually is kind of cool. It's kind of like interesting, right? Like you're in a different country, a different perspective. What I was responding to was you telling me, just message me whenever, anything, just ask me to look at. I'm like, fuck lah. If I was your wife and like you're in the middle of like some nice dinner or something, then I message like some document for you to look at. I'll be like, if I was your wife, I'll be like, hey, fuck you lah, Terrence. You're setting me up to be hated lah. Yeah.
Terrence, then you must, just because you get a message during dinner doesn't mean you need to reply it during dinner. Right.
But that's why you said that you'll be doing. Feel free to message me whenever. I'm this holiday. It's not really a holiday. I'm here to work, and I'm like, hey, come on, don't put your don't. I'm speaking on behalf of your wife and all the spouses of workaholics around the world. Don't
Terrence,
overdo it.
In the end, yesterday you messaged me at what time? 11:30 p.m. Correct? And what did I say?
Yes,
I will look at it and I'll get back to you. Right?
Yeah. No,
so you don't anyhow say.
I took your words at face value, and I was like, okay, since he asked me to message him, I'll message him.
Yeah. So then I didn't want to respond then. So I didn't. So it's about compartmentalizing, Terrence. Compartmentalizing, drawing lines.
Hustle. Move fast, break things.
No. It's all about balance.
Move fast, break relationships. Yeah.
Piss people off. That's the hashtag. That's the hashtag. Piss people off.
No, I really do think it's quite cool to sometimes do a podcast, even just like in the middle of a trip, because you see things that are different from Singapore and gives you a bit of perspective about things.
Yeah,
and all
exactly,
that, right?
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, lah. So interesting, lah. Interesting. Who knows? Maybe next time we will be Yalabot International, where
Yeah.
both
Actually,
you and I
just
are in different countries.
just an aside, I learned yesterday that apparently Google like encourages employees to like you're allowed to work remotely for like 3 weeks at a time each year or something like that.
Oh, is it?
Like like literally you can just tell your boss, I want to go to Bali to just work for 3 weeks, and then they're like, okay, go ahead, kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
power.
That's, yeah.
I know
That's,
certain companies are the opposite, like they say, oh, even if you're working abroad, you still need to take leave.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
correct.
then
Yeah.
there's no such thing as you work abroad, work while abroad. You either take leave, go abroad, have holiday, or you stay in Singapore and work. So then also is like, huh? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's right.
But yeah.
But yeah,
Cool.
but
yes.
before we jump into the topics, which actually have a lot to do with Singapore and the neighboring countries that we spend a lot of time in and all that. What's the one thing that we need to plug?
It is the call to action for anyone who is listened to this podcast or is listening and finding that it brings you some level of joy. It would be great if you could just share it with one person who hasn't heard of us, who may never have heard of us if not for your actions.
Yes.
Cool. Sweet.
So we jump right into the big first topic that is riling up people from 2 different countries.
Yeah, which is part of the ongoing SEA Games, which is quite cool. It's so easy to forget that there is the SEA Games going on. So seeing these updates every day, and it's been cool, and some pretty nice wins by Singapore. But this particular win, which was the Singapore's first SEA Games Esports gold medal, it was a bit controversial because in the final where Singapore was up against Indonesia, there was a dispute or multiple disputes put up by Indonesia, and we will dive into the details, but it ended with Singapore sharing the gold medal with Indonesia. And I know get online abuse towards the players, and just feels like it doesn't feel that festive or celebratory, right? Because the further you dig, the more it feels like, what the hell happened? But the world of esports is so mysterious to people like me. But why do you want to talk about this?
No, I wanted to preface everything we're saying with the disclaimer that Harish and I are not into esports or Valorant or any of these esports games at all, right? So I think I play video games, but not any of these kind of games that have come up and that people are very popular that esports people play and all that. So everything
I don't even play video games.
Everything we say is going to sound like German to a lot of the stuff sounds like German to us now when you read it. But so if you're actually someone who follows esports, you will probably cringe at a lot of what we're gonna say and the way we're saying it, lah. So I just put it out there first,
But it's just interesting because there's more and more news coming about it, and it's for someone like me to understand it is quite interesting, because I have no fucking idea. I don't even game much. At least you play recreational games, right? But with all that in mind, what made you want to talk about this?
I think it's interesting because firstly, esports are very new, right? And very new to the competitive gaming SEA Games landscape and all. So I think there's a lot of things in the rule books that are not fixed yet, which have come to light in this situation. And secondly, it's just about the the concept of sportsmanship, right? In e-gaming and all, because I think as you read about the story, you will see that there were certain acts, done by both teams, both the Indonesian and Singapore teams, that had their supporters up in arms, lah. So maybe it's interesting because we are not gamers. It's interesting for us to sort of dissect this a little bit and see, hey, was this the right approach in tackling this issue? For the games committee, for the different sporting organizations of both countries, do we think that maybe there was another way to handle it or what? So I think it's a larger discussion about sportsmanship and esports in games that I'm more interested in.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're listening and maybe you caught wind of what some news about esports, but have no idea what the hell happened, right? So overall, right? So again, with the preface that this is just me trying to understand it. The final was between Singapore and Indonesia. It was a best of 3. Singapore had won the first round against Indonesia, and basically Valorant is like one of those first-person shooter games, lah. Where you're like,
is it Valorant or is it Valorant? You see, even just the name of the game.
What did I say?
Valorant. You said Valorant.
Oh, Valorant. Valorant.
Valorant. Is it? I don't see. That's the thing. I'm not even sure. I know. Our audio engineer Tristen. He plays this game and all that, and he loves it. So
he's probably rolling his eyes, lah.
He's more than rolling. He's probably like clutching his stomach in pain right now. And how terrible we're butchering the name of his favorite game.
Maybe I should say Valorant/Valorant/Valorant.
Oh, actually, Valorant. This is what our podcast is right now. It's a Valorant about the game.
So the Singapore won the first game. Then midway through the second game, when Singapore was actually in the lead, there was a dispute put forward by the Indonesian team, accusing Singapore of using a Cipher cam, which is kind of like a camera that would allow the Singapore team to see what the Indonesian team is doing, lah. So most specifically
in the game, you mean?
In the game.
Yeah, it's not like a physical camera they have outside pointed at the people playing the game, lah, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so most specifically,
that's why. So most specifically, they suspected Singapore had exploited the Cipher bug in several rounds of the game, and the bug is a camera feature that would allow the team Singapore in the game to see the position of Indonesian players and attack them, because how you win is your team kind of like shoots down the other team. So midway through the second game, there was that dispute put forward, and then the game was paused. So let me see. So the first round Singapore won 13-8. The second round Singapore was 10-4 in the lead. Then there was a dispute, and then there was a delay. Let me see. So there was a technical pause that was called by Indonesia, and after about 20 minutes, Singapore was informed that there was a complaint filed against them. Then 30 minutes later, there was another issue raised by Indonesia. After there was an initial dispute, the Singaporeans kind of like protested, but then they agreed to the tournament organizers' decision to roll back and play the 14th round again, because in the second game there was the 14th round which they were in the lead, and then they decided to play it. Then after 30 minutes, there was another issue raised by Indonesia when Singapore was once again in the lead 5-3, and then there was a delay. So they sat around from 7 p.m. on 10th May to about 12:51 a.m. on 11th May. Then the tournament organizer told Singapore they would restart the game again. Singapore agreed, but then Indonesia raised another issue, and then they were told to go home at 4:30 a.m. and come back on stage at 8 a.m. the next day.
To continue playing again. Right?
Yeah, to continue playing. And then Singapore received the news that the Indonesian team wanted to forfeit the series to, and I quote, uphold its national dignity, demanding Singapore to give up the second map. Then Singapore waited from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for the medal ceremony to take place. And then there was another proposal, because once Indonesia decided to forfeit, Singapore would be given a gold medal. Then there was another proposal that either they share the gold with Indonesia or they wait for a week to find out the result of the dispute. And then they agreed to share the gold medal.
Correct. Yeah.
So even reading that out, right, I was confusing myself. But anything you want to clarify, or like what your understanding was different?
I think the only thing to add is part of the essentially the Singapore team then chose to take the joint gold medal, right? But because imagine this game that was meant to end on Wednesday, 10th May, had stretched out like till the next day and the next afternoon. And actually, most of the team had already booked their flights back to Singapore already, thinking that the games will be over for them already. So most of the team actually had to leave the ceremony, and only one person from the Singapore team stayed behind to collect the gold medal. And there's a very telling photograph of that Singapore team member receiving the gold medal, but completely like broken down in tears.
Oh yeah.
So the image is out there, and it's a very telling of how the controversy has sort of tainted this gold medal win for Singapore also. And so it's you read the headlines, they say it's controversial, but you never really understand what that means to the athletes until you see the images like this, right?
Yeah. So, and I mean, the thing is, once you go down, a few other things come up lah. Apparently, there was a discussion between the Indonesian players and the tournament organizers as well, real time, just saying that, oh, is this allowed lah as part of the game? And the tournament organizers allegedly came back saying, okay, this map yes, the second map no, and then the Indonesians clarified, can this be used? And they said no. So by that rationale, yeah, Singapore is doing something they shouldn't do. But according to what the Singapore players said, they weren't informed of that they couldn't do it, and they were just following the rule books, which they were doing stuff that has been done in other Valorant tournaments lah.
Yeah.
So then you look at it, even from the outside, you're like, maybe it's just because the world of esports, ultimately, like if it's a 100-meter sprint, there's only so much that you can dispute.
Yeah, that's right.
But esports is like this whole Pandoras box, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, if you take an analogy to a game that's probably more well understood by other people, it's like two teams are playing a football match, right?
Yeah.
And then one of the teams, does something that the other team says is cheating. Let's say like they're wearing I don't know, metal shin pads or something that could that could give them an advantage in the way they play or could hurt other players, whatever. And then the match is you're already halfway through the match, and they lodge a complaint to the referee, and then the referee says, "Oh, okay, there's something strange going on here, but to make things fair, let's start, restart playing again, or start from 0-0 and start playing again." But I think the Indonesian team at this point said that, we don't want to have to, we're not happy with this decision the referee has made, and we insist that there should be further concession from the Singapore side to forfeit something, forfeit the match or what. And then at the end of the day, referee says, "Oh, okay, fine. Then since they're refusing to play, then both sides, we just declare both sides joint gold medal winners." You know what I mean? It's a draw. We declare both sides joint medal winners, and so you can imagine, as the Singapore team, you would feel quite aggrieved, in the sense that you feel that it was the pressure on the the officiating authorities or the referees that caused this result, rather than even though you have said, okay, let's replay everything again, since there's some dispute over what can or can't be used, but the opposing team refuses to accept that concession, right? So that's why it's the fact that the rules are so new and still changing and still evolving. That's what makes this complicated, I think, because even the referees or the body the committee that's meant to officiate these decisions, it's hard for them also, right, to make these decisions.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's one thing that, okay, if you look at it, that Indonesia, Singapore already agreed to do the rollback and start again. So why are you all complaining? But then maybe there really was an issue that Singapore did wrong. Because like, there's an official statement, no, from the Esports Federation of Indonesia, and it's quite damning. So certain things they said, okay, so sportsmanship and fairness are key values that we and the entire ecosystem should aspire to at all times, and blah blah blah. During the match, they found irrefutable evidence of a breach of rules committed by the Singapore team. They have lodged an official protest. And the last part, they say the Esports Federation of Indonesia considers this act of cheating equivalent to doping and should be defined as digital doping. And then they say that, we want esports to gain world recognition, that we need to make sure it's fair and full of integrity. So,
Yeah.
of course, organizations, there will always be, not every organization is well-intentioned and all, but it's just hard to figure out, because maybe Singapore really did do something wrong, right? But the investigation is ongoing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I guess the sad thing is that during there was a lot of online abuse put towards the Singaporean team lah. And according to some of the Singaporean teams, they only had like 3 of team officials that were there to help them, whereas the Indonesian team had like a whole army behind them, and they were getting like some of the things people were telling them, oh, we meet here and here, we show you how to fight in real life or some shit like that lah.
Yeah. I do see some online chatter lah, right? Given that there was such a strong protest and such deep allegations of doping or cheating, like digital doping, whatever you call it, right? Why, if you were the Singapore team, if even you winning a gold medal would be so tainted by this thing, why wouldn't you just withdraw, and not even accept the medal, the Singapore team lah?
Right? Oh, you mean if you feel so strongly like this, fucked up?
Yeah. Because okay, let's take because you and I really don't know anything about this whether it's cheating or what lah, right? Using this camera in the game, but let's take it at face value that okay lah, there was an unfair advantage that they gained from it. In that case, when you've been accused of cheating and all that, but then people say, oh, okay, but here's a joint gold medal since we can't verify whether you cheated or anything like that. Wouldn't you feel like, taking the gold medal home, doesn't that it kind of devalues the whole point of competition and winning the gold medal and all that? And if you feel aggrieved by the process, wouldn't it be better to have just rejected the gold medal?
Wow, that's a tricky thing, man. Because at the same time, like, they were playing so well in the whole tournament. They won the first map in this best of 3 series. They were leading in the second map, so they clearly are pretty good lah, right? And we have had esports winners in previous SEA Games, but this is the first goal lah. And if it's the first goal in esports for your country, it is quite a big thing lah. So I totally can imagine how, even if you feel wronged, the fact is you still get the gold medal, which you feel you deserve. Oh, I think walking away will be damn hard, man.
And you're bringing it home to your country lah, right? To add to the country's medal tally.
Yeah, I mean, okay, in some way, like, let's say you don't want to just let this controversy die, and you want to bring to justice what happened, what went wrong. Don't you get more leverage as a gold medal winner, as someone without a gold medal?
I get what you're saying. Yeah, more you can bring it forward and all that. Yeah, you can bring it up in public and all. Yeah.
But like, for you, if you were in that position, let's say you were so disturbed, Terence, that this could happen, that this could be tainted, your experience is tainted, and you feel so wronged. But they say, okay, we give you joint gold medal. You want?
I mean, you really look back in history at all these events and all. At the end of the day, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, people are not going to know the intricacies of how you got that gold medal and all that, right? All that's going to be remembered in history is, did you get a gold medal or did you not get a gold medal?
So only winners only the winners I remember lah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if I was a young esports athlete, and it's not like you can do this forever either, lah, right? If you have the chance to walk away with the gold medal, yes, it's slightly tainted, but is it a hill worth dying on, lah, where you protest until something's overturned? Even in those instances when when, let's say, like a Olympic silver medalist, the gold medal winner is disqualified, because of some doping allegations after that. A lot of times, like, there's always the asterisk, right, put next to the silver medalist who's elevated to the gold medal position, right? There's always people always say that, oh, it wasn't really because they won a gold medal. So it just feels very it's just it's just a tough one to swallow. Whereas the one who wins the gold medal on the spot, usually that's what the layperson remembers.
It's like Lance Armstrong, is it?
Lance Armstrong, in some sense, yeah, you remember his achievements, but his was such a huge scandal that tainted his whole career that I think very hard to compare to, like, an instance like this.
Like, if you ask people, is he? Do you still consider him a great cyclist? I can imagine more people saying, yeah, he probably was fucking good, because there's no way to quantify how much the doping helped, right?
Correct. I think in as a parallel in recent sports, in recent history, in a lot of other mainstream sports, like during the pandemic, right? When say when Liverpool won the Premier League, or when LeBron James and the LA Lakers won the NBA title while playing in a bubble, right? They were essentially locked up in Miami for like a few months playing. A lot of people, I mean, commentators, they put an asterisk on those wins because they weren't played in front of audience. A lot of players, because of COVID and all that, couldn't play and participate in the matches and all that, right? So there's a lot of talk of it, there's a big asterisk next to your title and all that. But the fact remains that they did win these championships. And Liverpool still wears that star on their jersey, and the Lakers still hang the rafters, right? So, I can get it. I can totally understand why the Singapore team decided, okay, let's just, take the joint gold medal, and then there's a bit of a fallout from there. But you can't. At least you get one for Singapore, lah.
But unfortunately, probably the memory of the gold medal was not like what they imagined,
Yeah.
It's like, you plan like some birthday party or something, and you think it's going to be like your fucking, or like your wedding, you plan your wedding, you think it's going to be full of memories, but some annoying uncle takes a shit in the middle of the dance floor.
Oh, are you going to like personal territory to
No. I can
unveil
confirm that
to reveal
no one shat on the dance floor at my wedding. And I know both you and Tristen can back that up. No one shat on the dance floor. But if there was someone who shat on the dance floor, as I look back at the photos 20 years down the road, of course I'll think like, fuck man, such a great night, except for the person who took a dump on the dance floor.
Yeah. I feel bad for the Singapore e-athletes, that especially the one that was caught on camera crying. Because can you imagine that's like immortalized as the moment that you received the gold medal at the SEA Games. Yeah.
And I mean, I just hope that esports as a sport continues, because the last thing you want, I mean, I can really see some chatter online saying, oh, esports is a farce. I don't know enough to say whether or not, it should be a sport, it should not be a sport. But the fact is, it has become a sport. You do get people who make professional livelihoods of playing the sport. The last thing that would be good is that it gets tainted to the point that people are like write it off. It's like, when YouTube drama came up for a while, and even now there's like, influencers like, fuck, YouTube drama, all this blah blah. Then I'm like, okay, there is drama, but doesn't mean the format, the craft deserves that much disrespect also,
That's right. Yeah. Shout out to, I mean, kudos to the Singapore team for, the gold medal. And I think, even the boomers like us who don't play the game, we feel for you in this situation. We're just trying to make sense of what you're going through. So yeah.
But some things, just by being in it, I've come to learn, like, there's this website called Tweet Longer. Have you heard of it?
I think I accessed it. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably saw it because one of the players from Singapore posted a longer tweet, and it's basically, if you want to do a long tweet, you use tweet longer, but it's not affiliated with Twitter.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, and then like just like using Cipher Cam. Yeah, hey bro, you go use a Cipher Cam. Or not? I just feel like even when talking to Tristen, right, I'll be like, hey, you played yesterday, use the Cipher Cam. He would see me a bit more as like, okay lah, this guy knows knows gaming.
Yeah.
This guy knows gaming.
And when we roll back to play again. Oh,
yeah,
correct. Oh shit, these guys are cool. Yeah.
Hey Terrence, we take a technical pause on the podcast. I think we need to take a technical pause.
Yeah, then we roll back and we start again. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, so those are all terms. Those are all terms that seem to be used a lot in Valorant tournaments or Valorant tournaments.
Valorant,
So if you want to reconnect with your younger son or daughter who plays Valorant, join us in sounding like fools.
Just throw in like words like cipher, rollback, technical pause, tweet longer and all. Imagine you go to your son, you're like, hey, I just read this amazing thing on Tweet Longer. You should check it out, and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And then like some of the Singapore players like the Styron, Frey. It's just a different world, like. It's just a different world.
Yeah. But it's quite funny. It's quite interesting that it's taking place during the SEA Games, which traditionally, I mean, we're all familiar with the SEA Games, right? Having grown up with it and all. But you think you know every sport, but actually no. There's so many new things about new sports we don't know. Yeah.
Indeed. Cool.
But that's the, I think that's like the theme of today, right? There are a lot of things on the surface that we think we know, that you look at, you see the cues and everything. It points you towards that, what you think it is. But when you actually go and dig deeper, it's not. Yeah. So this consumer who walked past Pasar Malam in Woodlands had a very rude shock as well and was very surprised by what he found. What is this story about?
So on May 9th, there was a Facebook user who posted a video and pictures about a stall called MBK Thai Express, which was at Woodlands Bazaar, where there was apparently a staff who was wearing a tudung, but also but the stall had pork on its menu. So he recorded a video of him checking with the owner of the stall and berating him lah. Like the video even has like him scolding the staff for selling pork, and what happened in the video was he asked the staff, can a Muslim sell pork? And then the staff said the stall does not sell pork. The man pointed to the menu and asked that it be removed. And then he spoke to the stall's boss. Basically, and then he posted online saying, Muslims be warned that this stall sells pork. And the main issue was that how can someone wearing a tudung sell pork lah? How can a stall that has tudung wearing staff, how can it sell pork? So, I mean, interestingly enough, like since I think we've had a few episodes where we talk about stuff related to the Hari Raya Bazaar or bazaars that sell Malay food, or halal food. So interesting. I know we've had some people comment saying, "Oh, we should get an Islamic expert on the podcast, maybe at some point." But for now,
yes.
Why did you want to talk about this, Terrence?
Because I thought it's interesting that Muiz's response came almost like saying that, hey, almost, I wouldn't say chastising lah, but right, kind of disagreeing with the guy who posted the video, right? Saying that as a consumer, you also need to check whether the store you're consuming from is really a halal store, because they would have certification and all that if they are halal store, and not assume that just because of the people who work there, just because of their appearances, then you assume that they are halal, right? Which I think the guy did say that, hey, but then there are people who maybe don't read the menu or can't read the menu and things like that, who might just assume based on who is serving them, right? That because it's someone wearing a tudung serving them, so it must be a halal store. So to me, that was interesting. The two sides of the coin, right? But what do you think of it when you saw the responses from Muiz and vice versa?
I mean, but Muiz didn't actually kind of say specifically whether it's wrong for someone wearing a tudung to be working at a stall that sells pork, lah, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm also a bit confused because okay, I know every religion is different, but I was imagining it. Okay, take for example the religion that I'm the most familiar with. Wouldn't say most familiar with that I was born into, like Hinduism. I'm not the most religious at this point, but I can totally imagine like a Hindu person working at a restaurant that sells beef. So then I was like,
And
oh wait,
having to handle like beef products.
having to handle beef products, I still think it's okay. I still can imagine it. I don't know anyone personally. I mean, I know a lot of Hindus who eat beef. But I guess this is where I was like, oh, this is interesting, like, because on one hand, I'm like, oh, I was thinking, is this guy stepping out of line? You know, like, after all, if the stall sells pork, but maybe the tudung, the staff wearing tudung doesn't deal directly with the
Handle.
pork,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it really is like something that is a no-go, I mean, maybe he shouldn't record a video. Maybe he shouldn't like show like the person's face and all. But then, does he have a right to inquire and like push for the stall to not sell pork?
Yeah, I think
So
the video side, yeah, we can agree that yeah, not great to like be videoing and complaining to people at the same time and all that lah. But the when I watched the video, yeah, I think the service staff in wearing the tudung was actually not the one at the counter lah, right, serving people. Or at
yeah,
least she seemed to be in the background, doing things. So yeah, to your point, I'm not sure if she was actually handling pork, or if she was, the one that is customer facing, so to speak, such that people might assume that it's a halal business. Yeah.
but would it strike you as weird that if you went to a stall selling pork and you saw someone who was was wearing a tudung, would it
Oh
strike
yeah,
you?
for sure. I think the question will come up in my mind. Oh, is she allowed to handle pork lah, in that sense? You know,
Yeah,
like you at that, those same questions went through my mind. So yeah, I think it might be something worth clarifying. Like, I think talking to the store owner, or even checking with Muis or what. But I think the public, the recording of the video, all that, that's the part that was tough to swallow lah. Very tough to watch. Like quite a heated confrontation with the people at the store lah, right?
yeah. I was also gonna ask, like, is there any kind of meat for any religion? Like, okay, so like for Buddhists, I know some Buddhists don't eat beef also, right? But yeah, basically, I also would have the same question.
Yeah,
Like, hey,
yeah.
how does this work? And the thing is, apparently that MBK, they actually did have a new menu that didn't show pork. That they updated it and they removed that pork option lah.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's where I don't know. Maybe this whole thing is a bit weird. It just feels like the previous issue was also something related to selling pork, right? That was what we covered the podcast on.
I think there were pork sellers. There were people who were selling pork products at
Pork products.
bazaar that was meant for Ramadan lah.
Hari
Yeah,
Raya. Yeah, correct. Whereas this one, I don't think it is. It's just a Woodlands bazaar, lah, right?
yeah.
Right. It's not a Ramadan bazaar.
Yeah,
But
I don't think so.
yeah. So it's weird, eh? And in the chatter on the post, right? Do you see any polarizing comments or generally like quite calm and civil?
No, generally quite supportive of the guy who posted the video lah, saying that should either call police or complain to Muis or anything like that. So that's why I was quite oh okay, but Muis is now saying, hey, it's not don't, that the consumer needs to take a bit more proactive steps to ensure that they're not consuming non-halal products, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe, but maybe it might be even just seeing the confusion that you and I have. Maybe it might be worth for Muis to clarify further, to non-Muslims as well, about like what's acceptable or not acceptable, right?
Yeah.
For
Oh,
Muslim staff to handle pork products or
but
not.
But one point that the guy who took the video did point out that whether or not the staff wearing tudung handles the pork, if there is pork being sold, it automatically means that it's not a halal place.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. That's for sure.
So that is also one issue, and that's what what you might call it, Muiz warned against lah, that you should always check if you're unsure. Right.
Yeah.
But then did this place even claim to be halal?
No certificate, nothing. Yeah.
No certificate, right?
They're not halal, yeah. But that's what they say, like appearances, like you hire a Muslim member of staff doesn't automatically confer you halal status, right?
So basically that is the crux of it, lah. That because that's why he says you could misrepresent or confuse potential patrons lah who think that it's a halal store because they see someone wearing a tudung.
Yeah. Correct.
Wow.
That's why it's a tricky issue lah. But I just it's quite scary in the way the guy also just confronted the staff and you can see I think the guy at the counter, who was being confronted, it's almost like he didn't know how to deal with it. Like he merely just took out his phone and called his boss and asked the boss to speak to the man. Because it's a touchy issue, right, when it comes to religion and halal certification and all these things.
Yeah, and I mean it's happening more and more. Like I know part of our research involves me reading Stomp, the bastion of journalism. Yeah. But in this story, the related stories are restaurant removes no pork lard sign after woman complains about it being misleading. Chinatown Cafe, which serves pork and beer, told by Muiz to remove fake halal logo. So it feels like it's happening more and more, not just at bazaars, but also at F&B establishments, lah. So it's like I'm sure the authorities, including like Muiz, are trying to find a better way to maybe regulate this, lah.
Yeah, or make it much. I think maybe restaurants having to be much more explicit in how to express themselves as halal or not halal, right?
Yeah, exactly, halal or not. Yeah. So maybe I'm sure maybe there's some app that's coming up. Like the government loves to make some apps, right? So maybe there's an app coming up.
Like another GovTech or Open Gov project again. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if you have any comments, if you have any thoughts, if there are facts where we got wrong, please, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Let us know.
But now, on to happier things, hopefully. Yes. What is your one Shiok comment?
Okay, wait. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I think Jungle Jimbo 88, long time listener, posted as a potential one Shiok thing. But I'm just taking it as a one Shiok comment, right? He talked about he posted the clip of So Ryong showing sportsmanship at the recent SEA Games because, I mean, if you watch the video, it's a clip of So Ryong sharing his drink with a fellow competitor in the middle of the 10-kilometer race at the SEA Games. So if you watch the clip, what happens is that So Ryong is running behind or alongside another runner, and there's a water point, right, where you run past, you grab a drink, and you either drink it or pour it over your head or what. So the guy in front of So Ryong tries to grab a drink, but he's unable to. Like it slips out of his hand or what, and he just spills it. Fine. Then So Ryong manages to grab a cup as he runs by the water point. I think he takes a sip or pours a little bit on his head. Then he actually takes the rest of the drink and offers it to the guy as he's running right behind him, And the guy takes it and I think he pours it on his head as well. So people are calling that like an ultimate act of sportsmanship, in the middle of a race. And ultimately, So Ryong went on to win the silver medal in the competition, which is like Singapore's first medal in men's 10,000 meters in 40 years, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, shout out to So Ryong, man. Like, we had just had him on a podcast a few weeks before SEA Games. He said that he hadn't been, really actively training for it, but he just went ahead to fucking get a silver medal in Singapore's first silver medal in like 4 decades. It's fucking badass, and I'm very glad that he also did this act of sportsmanship, which, if anything, to me might be even more valuable to him than the silver medal, in the sense that he's had a lot of controversy in recent years, but this really shows that, hey, he's someone that doesn't cut corners lah, right, or anything to get what he wants to get, like, even though he's super competitive, but at least he's a sportsman about it lah. So I was super happy when I saw this.
And I mean, in case the haters out there are saying, oh, maybe he spiked the water, the water he gave to the person. The guy he gave the water to ended up winning.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So he lost to the guy. So it's like, wow, interesting, huh? Interesting. Yeah.
But shout out to So Ryong, man. I mean, congrats on making Singapore proud, and and not giving up on your what do you call it? Your morals or your ethics in the process, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I was originally a bit reserved in like talking about So Ryong because that was my one Shiok thing, lah, Terrence. You start off with your one Shiok comment, then you go straight into one Shiok thing. Then I'm holding back my emotions because it really was my one Shiok thing. Then I feel like, Terrence, you really makan tu, no?
Because I did my because then you blame Jungle Jimbo for putting it out there on as a comment.
No, you can just talk about that video and then move on, lah.
Oh,
okay, you have your cake and eat it too some more.
Dude, you're in the middle of Penang, in the middle of a holiday. You're telling me your one Shiok thing is a YouTube video of an event that's happening in another country.
No,
come on.
The one Shiok thing is not the YouTube video. The one Shiok thing is that So Ryong won a silver medal.
Yeah.
So maybe your one Shiok comment is a video, my one Shiok thing, and I mean, sounds clear that it's also quite Shiok for you. I think because we have spoken a lot about how when people almost fuck up or are seen in the eyes of society as being, oh, how can you do this? What is the redemption arc, lah, right? So this one for Ryong, I mean, like we've gotten to know him well. I consider him as a good friend, and just happy that he won a silver medal. But also, even before he was going, people were shitting on him, right? People are always shitting on him. Even in my friend groups now, some of them just still shit on him because they still remember like what maybe he was more known for about the controversies and all that. But to win first gold medal in 10,000, we get a fourth in 5,000.
Silver medal in 10,000.
10,000, a silver medal in 10,000, get fourth in 5,000, and already talking about how he's really thinking of what events to plan for the next SEA Games is awesome. Awesome.
And it made me really think like, this is what being a proud Singaporean is, right? That it's not about winning a cultural medallion or being the yes man that says everything in Singapore is the best, right? I mean, he's someone who speaks his mind, and in some ways, when he sees things that he doesn't agree with, he speaks his mind, lah. But at the end of the day, he puts his best foot forward to represent the country that he lives in as an athlete and wins medals back for us, and we should embrace it fully, lah, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's why the SEA Games interesting. Got to pay more attention to the SEA Games.
Yeah. So that was your one Shiok thing. So I've really makan your one Shiok thing already.
You makan my one Shiok thing already. My one Shiok comment. Do you remember I haven't given my one Shiok comment yet?
I know. It's like I was about to lay out the red carpet for you to put your one Shiok comment.
I thought you were going to say, okay, thanks for listening, everyone. We've come to the end of the week. No, I still have my one Shiok comment.
Still got my one Shiok thing after that. So you finish your one Shiok comment first,
Okay, so my one Shiok comment was a comment from long-time commenter But Den Ho. On the podcast we did about the condo banning food delivery riders and all. She just gave a shout out to a CNA video where the host Steve Chia tried to do food delivery. It was like a 24-minute video online. And he just goes through whether they're paid enough and all that. So, I mean, just in general, it's awesome to see now people talk of CNA, because not just from Bud Den Ho, from other people, even for myself, the content they do is great, lah. And I think Steve Chia, like, for fucking long already, he's been doing Talking Point for ages, right?
Yeah.
But now it almost feels like when people say, oh, CNA does some good shit, for the longest time we hear that, oh, local content is shit. But now more and more I hear people who generally do consume a lot of content, even like they just say they watch CNA, which is awesome. And it's just a reminder that, Singapore, we can make some good shit, man.
Yeah.
And every time you think, oh, local content sucks, it just takes a lot to come up with good content, lah. So shout out to CNA.
Yeah. That's right. Shout out to CNN. I think those documentaries, the documentaries they do are really quite something. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now Terence, what is your one Shiok
Yes.
thing?
Yes, my one Shiok thing. Finally, my turn.
Yeah, your turn.
No, my one Shiok thing is because I'm unlike you. I'm not on holiday in Singapore. I'm not on holiday. I'm stuck in Singapore, so I'm watching a lot of YouTube. But there's this YouTube channel I just discovered called Wrestling Bios. And the interesting thing is that they do take a very retro look at the the WWE, the wrestling scene. And having grown up watching a lot of WWE when I was younger, it's pretty interesting that this channel takes all those old matches you watch with Bret Hart, with Mr. Perfect, with Yokozuna and all that, and sort of analyzes why those matches were so good or so interesting back then. And then the cool thing is he spruces it, he adds in the perspective from all these years later by, getting quotes from their biographies, getting the inside take of all these matches, like why Bret Hart, was very unhappy with Hulk Hogan when Hulk Hogan and him were at WrestleMania and things like that. And then he adds in all the stories and just puts a very complete picture into, like, as you watch the match and you try to understand the psychology of what's going on in the wrestler's mind and what the drama that's unfolding backstage. So it was very interesting for me to revisit some of these things that I watched when I was a kid, and I never thought, there's so much more drama and intrigue going on behind the scenes when it comes to these matches. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, because I remember certain matches from young, man. Like, I felt damn so sad when, like, Ultimate Warrior didn't win or Hulk Hogan lost. Oh shit, that's cool.
Yeah. And, like, even the drama behind, like, why they decided that Hulk Hogan should, like, Bret Hart will lose to Yokozuna at WrestleMania, and then Hulk Hogan would come in and then pin Yokozuna on the spot, and how that made Bret Hart feel about the, about that and all. So it's Wrestling Bios. Check it out, man.
Wrestling Bios. Okay. Cool. Now we have properly come to the end of today's podcast.
Yes.
Yes, but sweet. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah. Well, then you can say for the first time, signing off from Penang, right?
Signing off from Penang. Sweet. All right.